he took the mound, you almost have to throw that out because he waited about 10 days or so for his first start after the break of spring training. Last time out against the Cubs, did not fare so well, ended up losing 7-2 through a lot of pitches. The Cubs were very patient. They fouled a lot off. Let's see if he can be around the strike zone today.
Owings ready to go to work. Jeff Nelson, your home plate umpire for this afternoon. Mark Carlson is down at first base. The crew chief, Tim Cheetah, is at second, and Mike Estabrook is over at third for this afternoon's final game of the 3-game set. Both teams come in with 9-8 records. The Reds, after their loss yesterday, are now 3.5 back in the Central. The Braves, 9-8, are 2 games back in the Eastern Division. Atlanta will head home after this series. The Reds will remain here as the Astros come to town. That's rocketed, but right at Joey Votto. Votto's been like a goalie down at first this whole series. He's had one shot after another. This one, no hop, but still tattooed.
Well, trying to turn the ball over a little bit as Mike Owings, except he caught the middle of the plate. But there's been a first baseman there for over 100 years, and Joey Votto makes the play.
No bad hops up there, huh? Votto gets the first out. Here's Yunel Escobar, 286, 2 homers, 9 knocked in. Escobar yesterday doubled the first run in for the Braves, singled the second run in, and then clubbed a home run in the 6th inning. What a day for Yunel. Career high 4 runs batted in, and a career high tying 3 hits yesterday. Hop to the right side. Bruce Given chase. It's curving. It'll be in the seats. Escobar provides energy, somewhat at times over energetic, as we saw in game 1 when he got in a shouting match with Edinson Volquez. Maybe his payback for that. Bronson Arroyo clipped him first time up, but boy did he take care of business after that. This time he bangs one down to short. Paul Janisch is the shortstop today. He'll throw him out, and quickly there's 2 away. Here's your Honda standings update going into play today. Braves, those 2 games back. How about the start by Florida? And talking to Bobby Cox, Chris, he is so impressed by the Florida pitching, the starting pitching going into this year, and they've shown exactly why. They're 11-6 with a 2-game lead. The Mets have struggled. The Phillies trying to get themselves together, but the Florida Marlins have shown you they got starting pitching.
Well, you know, George, I don't know how they do it year after year. They keep coming up with these good arms that ended up being able to keep their teams in games and in the pennant chase. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the Braves. Remember last year they lost 90 games. First time that the Braves have lost 90 games since 1990.
Here's Chipper now at 298, couple of homers, 8 knocked in. His 5th straight game. That came after missing 4 straight games when he bruised that left thumb. There is the man heading to the Hall of Fame, Bobby Cox. Seems strange, Chris, you know, that they were here for 3 days, and to walk through that clubhouse, it's great to see Bobby, and he is certainly a sign of longevity, a sign of comfort when you walk through the Braves clubhouse. Sure seems strange not to see John Smoltz down there, huh?
Yep. I think he feels the same way.
Yep. Smoltz and Chipper really the 2 leaders of this club in the last couple of years after Glavine left, Maddox left. And Chipper's the leader on the field. John Smoltz gone, signed a contract with the Red Sox. They expect him back somewhere around mid part of the season. Boy, that'll be like a trade for Boston coming in the second half. How about that to help your stretch run? Not that they need it after yesterday's thrashing of the Yankees. Man, talk about home run derby. Fenway was lighting it up yesterday. Liner, that's a base hit into right. So Chipper gets a base hit. A 2-out single by Jones, and that'll bring up Casey Kotchman. There's your Ford defensive alignment. These two teams each have committed 14 errors during the first couple of weeks of the season. Lance Nix will get the start in left. You heard Dusty Baker talk about giving him the opportunity. Tavares Bruce, center and right. And Paul Janisch will get the start at short. They just want to give Gonzalez a day off to take a blow. Ramon Hernandez back behind the plate. That is your Ford defensive alignment. There's Kochman in an even 300. No homers, 4 knocked in. The Braves traded Mark Teixeira last year, and they got Kochman in return. And now you can't match numbers, Chris, but this guy gives you solid defense at first. He's one of the best defenders down in the first base bag, and he's solid at the plate, too.
Well, he is, George. He's not going to give you anywhere near the power that Mark Teixeira did, but he's a guy that in this lineup fits very well.
So far, so good for Micah. Votto will be up third when we return. By State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. By Dodge, grab life. By Just for Men, stay in the game with Just for Men hair color. And by Skyline Chili. Doesn't a Skyline Chili three-way sound good right now? Come on, it's Skyline time. The Rose Garden at Great American Ballpark, just outside the ballpark, heading towards the river. Inside the ballpark, ready to go to work. Willie Tavares will lead it off for the Reds. Tavares, Lance Nix in the number 2 spot, and Joey Votto set to face this transplant of Japan, Kinshin Kawakami, an 11-year veteran of the Japanese Central League, won over 100 games in the Central League. And about the only thing that is surprising of those numbers you see are the 10 walks and 17 strikeouts. In Japan, he usually had like a 4-to-1 or 5-to-1 walk to strikeout ratio, but it's been up higher than you would expect so far, Chris.
Well, George, he's had a couple of games, one in spring training, in which he really just completely lost the idea of the strike zone. Walked 7 batters in 2 innings in the spring, and had some control problems so far. But some of that might be adjusting to the league, adjusting to the strike zone, the batters, and things like that. Maybe trying to make the pitches too perfect.
Fine defender in his years in Japan. He won what is the same as the Gold Glove there, and he handles that bouncer easily. Here's Lance Nix. And here's your starting lineup for Dusty Baker and the Reds, with Nix batting in the number 2 spot. Joey Votto hits third. Brandon Phillips in the cleanup spot. Bruce Encarnacion Hernandez, Janisch at short, and Owings, the pitcher, bats number 9. Willie, 12 runs and 4 stolen bases. The 2 categories he leads the Reds in. Here's Nix at 263, no homers and 1 knocked in. Dusty hoping for someone to catch fire in left field. And Lance is going to get the opportunity today. One hopper down to second. Kelly Johnson has it. Nix retired, and there's 1 away. 2 away now with the bouncer out, and here comes Joey Votto, and here comes your Ford defensive alignment. You see Johnson down at second. Kelly's at second. Yunel Escobar is at short. The outfield has Brandon Jones getting the start in left. Jordan Schaefer and Jeff Francoeur. Chipper, Escobar, Kelly Johnson, and Kochman across the infield. Kochman had a 77-game errorless streak last year, an outstanding defender at first. David Ross again behind the plate. The Braves yesterday after the game placed Brian McCann on the disabled list with that recurring blurry eye problem. They're hopeful they can get it straightened out once and for all, but it's been something that's been recurring all year. Very frustrating for Brian and very frustrating for the Braves. Chris, you not only lose an outstanding receiver, you lose a big part of your offense.
Well, George, not just frustrating, but downright scary. If you're Brian McCann and all of a sudden you can't see out of one of your eyes, and that's what you need when you're a baseball player. There's nothing more important to a hitter than his eyesight. In fact, if you take the eyesight of an average major league player against the average, person in the United States, the eyesight of a major league hitter is so acute and so perfect compared to the general populace. They're off the charts. And when you lose that, you become a commoner. You're like a fan sitting in the dugout right there. And if you can't track the baseball, you can't hit.
Joey Votto hit by a pitch yesterday in the first inning. Gets hit by a pitch again. And those of you who are with us have known what's transpired in this series. Escobar and Volquez got into it in Game 1. Both benches cleared. Yesterday a warning was issued after Votto was hit, and the end result, by the time the day was over, and somewhat of a contentious day between the home plate umpire Mike Estabrook and both benches, Jerry Hairston Jr. was ejected and Dusty Baker was ejected. Down at first is Votto, and you don't really know till the game is over. Afterwards, we went down and talked to Dusty and Jerry Hairston Jr. And Jerry understood, as we surmised, Chris. He knew he was going out as soon as he started to point, and as soon as he started to verbally and physically show up the umpire. Dusty said he still didn't know why he was ejected. He did not swear, did not use profanity. He got out there and he didn't just about open his mouth, and he was going too. But he got his licks in. He said, I'm not going down the tunnel until I get a little bit of time to speak my piece. There it was. Dusty ejected for the first time this year. Here's Brandon, dribbled in front of the plate. It's fair territory. Ross has it, and they'll get the out. So the Reds get a base runner on the hit by pitch. Nothing to show for it. Owings back to the mound. Francoeur will lead it off. Here's Francoeur swinging at the first pitch. Not a surprise there. Popped up to Phillips. In fact, when you look at these two teams, you just saw Brandon Phillips wave at the first pitch. You saw Francoeur wave at the first pitch. And, Chris, that's pretty predictable.
It is, George, and it's not necessarily a good or bad thing because there are a lot of good hitters out there that are very aggressive. They swing early in the count. They love to jump on the fastball. Frank Gore and Brandon Phillips are certainly two of those. But it seems like as you get deeper and deeper into your major league career, you become a little more patient. And you wait for your pitch a little more often, and sometimes you can wait and get it.
In fact, if you look at the numbers last year, or for that matter, the last 3 or 4 years, both Jeff Francoeur and Brandon Phillips are at the top of the list swinging at the first pitch. Last year, Ty Wigginton was #1. We'll show it to you again. Wigginton, Corey Hart over 43%, but there's Francoeur and Phillips. Now you're hitting bullets and getting base hits. That's good news.
Well, also is an indication of guys that really aren't really crazy about batting with 2 strikes on them. And neither Brandon Phillips nor Jeff Francoeur, if you take it from a scout's perspective, cut their swings down with 2 strikes and battle pitchers that try to hit the ball to right field. They both still have long swings, and they're trying to go deep. So those are the kind of hitters that really don't like to hit when they're behind in the count, because they're going to face good sliders, they're good forkball, splitters, pitches that are meant to get them out because of their swings.
Here's the 25-year-old outfielder, Brandon Jones, who'll take a free pass. A walk #1 issued by Owings. Jones, 24th round draft pick back in 2003, getting a start in left today. Spent most of the last couple of years at AAA, was up for a handful of games 2 years ago and 41 games last year. You know that the Braves, of course, signed late, but they signed Garrett Anderson, hopeful that Garrett could plug the hole in left and provide some offense. A supremely talented player when healthy. Garrett, brilliant in Anaheim and a team leader every place he's been, but he's had injury problems since signing his contract. He's on the disabled list right now. Here's Jordan Schaefer, and that's given the young guys a chance in the outfield to play more. Schaefer at 268, couple of homers, 3 knocked in. You've heard a lot about him in the last couple of years with the great talent that he has. Made a critical mistake testing positive for human growth hormone, served a 50-game suspension in the minor leagues.
His mistake wasn't testing positive. His mistake was taking it in the first place.
Exactly. And he admitted it afterwards.
What are you supposed to do at that point?
No, the mistake, yeah.
You admit it after you get tested positive? Of course you do.
The good news is, over. Turn the page. You know, the other thing, Chris, that came out of that, I think that's really good, is that there's a minor league drug program that's far more stringent than the major league drug program. But the one thing that's happened over the last couple of years, Major League Baseball and the Players Association is far more diligent at providing players at every level. Here's the delivery. That's missing down and away, with a list of supplements that you think you can buy at your local GNC or wherever, that you're not sure whether they're legal or not. And now they give you updates continually. Don't buy this. It's clear. But still, you're responsible for what goes into your body.
Yeah, you know what? And the players are always trying to get an edge. And I think there have been some situations where a player may mean, well-intentioned. Maybe he's thinking he's going to get some fish oil, and he ends up with some kind of a substance that's in this blend he doesn't know that's going to trip the test positive for him. And I think that's probably happened. But you've got to be so careful, especially as a minor league player, because there are so many things on that list. And you're right, that drug testing program is much more invasive to the player than the major league program is, and the consequences are just as important, maybe even more so. So, in other words, if you can't buy it at your local market, if it doesn't grow on a tree, don't take it at all.
And the bottom line is, even if it appears to be harmless and you take it and you test positive, it still is on your shoulders.
Whether it's clear or cream.
That's what Jesse was selling you before the game?
No, those are free samples.
Furthest we go is the ice cream we got in the freezer in the back of the room.
Oh, I think Edie's is okay.
1 ball to David Ross. Ross, time on the disabled list himself, had a groin pull. He's back, and the Braves are fortunate to have him back with McCann on the disabled list right now. Clint Salmon's called up from the minor leagues as a backup catcher. Short lead down at first for Jones, who walked. We have rookie development for the top minor league prospects every year. It takes place in Lansdowne Convention Center down in Washington. And the most interesting sessions are usually those surrounding performance-enhancing substances. Interesting because the players have more questions than anything else, and the doctors and psychologists that Major League Baseball and the Players Association bring in spend more time on that than just about any other part of the 5-day session. And it's clear that the message is getting out there. And I mean, the bad news is what's happened in baseball. The good news is that little by little it is getting cleaned up.
Well, you know, you're right, George, and little by little is because how strong the Major League Baseball Players Union has been. They've resisted really any changes in the uniform contract at all, not just drug related, but at all different types of changes. Once they get that through collective bargaining, they're not really willing to give things up. And I think that's why it's taken so long for Major League Baseball and the Players Association to finally get together and realize that, you know, this is for the betterment of the game.
Here's Kawakami. Already he got it out of the way. He's had his first hit in at 333. Now 33 years of age, an 11-year veteran of the Central League in Japan. That's popped the other way and out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We don't know what's going to happen this week, Chris, but I think it's pretty clear just, you know, the dynamics of what goes on around a ball club. Dusty had a meeting with his coaches today. He's been spending time individually with a number of players, talking about their individual performance and about where the team is going. And you know that Walt Jocketty and Dusty have talked substantially too. You wouldn't be surprised to see some move before this week is over and the Reds hit the road again as they continue to struggle with their offense. Now, struggling so far for Micah. We're scoreless as we go to the bottom of 2 here in Cincinnati.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Great day, Great American Ballpark. Was it a great day for the Bengals yesterday? Our text poll question of the day: how would you grade the Bengals draft in rounds 1 and 2? Text 1 to give them an A, text 2 for a B, text 3 for a C, or text 4 for a D on the first day of the draft. The keyword vote plus the number of your choice to 37664. Standard text rates do apply, and the Bengals, of course, took offensive tackle from Alabama, Andre Smith, as the 6th overall pick, and then the 3rd USC linebacker of the day went. That's Ray Maualuga. Well, he brings energy to the field every time he takes the field. The USC linebacker, the 3rd linebacker from the Trojans picked. As Carson went in there and said, take him. Early voting, and A, hope is eternal. Congratulations to Eric Wood, the elder grad. He's bound for Buffalo, and the draft continues today. Here's Jay Bruce. He came from football country down in Beaumont. Still pumping it out with an A for most of you believing the Bengals did pretty good. In my 10 years at ESPN, Chris, I anchored the draft 8 times. And the one thing, Paul Zimmerman, Dr. Z from Sports Illustrated, told me the first year. He said, one thing I can tell you is don't believe anything the general managers say, because they're all lying. They're all trying to use you, and that's what we see every year. You know, everybody has their mock drafts, and it's become a cottage industry, the draft. But it's a special day for all those players, just as the baseball draft is too.
Not quite as made for TV, the baseball draft is, as the football draft, but I was wondering what those black circles were under your eyes, George. No wonder you anchored it that many times. You have to be tired.
There's a pop-up in the third base area behind the dugout. It'll be in the seats. We'll revisit it again in a couple of minutes, but so far most of you think that it was a pretty good draft for the Bengals. Biggest news of the day, Matthew Stafford, of course, the #1 pick of Detroit. And Mark Sanchez gets moved up and selected him. He's heading to the Jets. Quarterback from the Trojans. Here's Jay Bruce, the foul ball, and the count now 3 balls, 2 strikes to the Reds right fielder. There's a walk. So the Reds get their second base runner. Votto hit by a pitch in the first. Free pass to Jay. Here's Edwin. And here's your final look at our text poll results. Right about 70% thinks the Bengals get an A for their draft picks yesterday. Jesse, what'd you think? You said you wait until they play? You're right, Jesse. Jesse knows more about football than all those guys. He'll be down in the sidelines again. Thanks for participating in our text poll of the day. There's another dribbler out in front. They're going to go to second. They'll get 1, and that's all they'll get.
A bad exchange for the Reds because Bruce is a faster runner than Edwin Encarnacion. Second time we've seen this right out in front of the plate. That's the way Brandon Phillips made his last out, and David Ross out behind that catcher's box quickly to make the throw to second. Aggressive defensive play there, and a good one by the former Reds catcher.
What do you remember about draft day in baseball, Chris?
Well, first time I got drafted, George, I remember hearing of that, read in the paper that I was drafted, and I had to write a postcard to the New York Yankees and tell them that I'm your 21st round draft pick. If you want to contact me, here's my phone number. And about a week later, the phone rang. So that's what I remember. They were in a hurry to sign everybody else.
You didn't get $4.4 million as a signing bonus?
Negative on that one.
How much did Dan have to pay them to sign you?
Probably too much. I think he went and took out a second mortgage.
Your dad is a great fan. Here's Ramon in at 234, a homer, 4 knocked in. Kawakami from the stretch, quick feet, tosses it over to first. Short lead for Encarnacion off first. Giannis on deck for the Reds. There goes Encarnacion. Here comes the throw. He's going to be a dead duck.
I'm wondering if maybe the Braves did not ferret out something about that whole play, because obviously it was a hit and run right there. You're not going to send Edwin Encarnacion on his own. And the Braves threw over one time to shorten up his lead. They threw a very tough pitch to try to hit a ball on a hit and run. There you see Edwin looking back. The responsibility of the hitter right there is try to put the bat on the ball, but that ball was way outside, and the Braves execute their defense perfectly.
Hernandez waving at the pitch that was almost in the dirt, down and away. So the base runner erased, 2 away, nobody on.
Well, you can see the Dusty Baker trying to push the buttons, just trying to get the offense going, take the pressure off, put a little hit and run on. If they can go first and third, then it makes it easy, for Giannis. And then, of course, you've got Micah Owings in the number 9 spot. He's a much better hitter than a normal pitcher. So maybe you have a chance of getting a run in that way.
This isn't a normal day where you kiss off the 9 spot in the order. Owings, one of the better hitters on this roster for the Reds. And Dusty saying before the game that we went through spring training where they ran a lot, they ran and hit, they hit and run, they did a lot of stealing. He said, little by little, we want to do that more during this regular season. The opportunities just haven't always been there. And there are a couple of times where signs were missed in the last few days, too. I mean, we wondered the other day, and we speculated on the 3-0 pitch to Jay Bruce. Do you give him the red light? And he did, the green light, and he did swing. As it turned out, he had to take. He said in some situations he'll do it, in other situations not. There's a bouncer down to second. Johnson takes care of it. The Reds get a base runner on the walk. Nothing to show for it after the caught stealing. Top of the order, Kelly Johnson up when we return. Non-alcoholic beverages as part of your all-inclusive club seat price. For more info and tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. That's a great place to visit if you get to the ballpark. Jeff Pecoro's been up there a couple of times this week showing you what it's like in the Champions Club. And Chris, it's something special. Whether you sit out there or you go inside, it's a fun place to be at the ballpark.
Well, if you like baseball, if you like cold beverages and you like to eat, that's the spot.
3 for 3. As Kelly Johnson hit one right on the nose, but right at the first baseman Joey Votto in the first. 0 for 1. Giannis has it. Good hands, good feet, good arm, and quickly there's one away.
Well, you like to see guys hitting the ball on the ground off of Micah Owings, and you would think that being as tall as he is and kind of a lower arm angle that he'd get a lot more ground balls than he actually does. But throughout his short major league career so far, he's been predominantly a fly ball pitcher. I know that he's had a lot of people talk to him about trying to get the ball down and sink the ball more often. And in this ballpark, that's always a good idea.
Easier said than done. Let's take a look at that arm angle, Chris.
Well, it's not always the arm angle. It's actually where the fingers are in relation to the baseball. If you keep your fingers on top of the ball like that, that's a slider right there. You're going to have a little downward tilt. Same goes for a fastball. If you keep your fingers right directly on top of it, your arm will pronate faster, and you'll be able to get that ball and kind of drive it down instead of from side to side.
On ball, 1 strike to Escobar. Bounced out first time up.
This is kind of what we're talking about right here with Micah Owings. If you can get those fingers on top of the ball as you release it, it'll come right off your middle finger and kind of backspin and go down.
Had a beat on it as soon as it left the bat. Timed it perfectly. Willie Taveras robs Escobar of a base hit, 2 away. Sinking line drive, and Taveras snares it. Nice play by the Red center fielder.
Well, he's been very good. You know, first couple of games, George, there were a couple of balls that he kind of coasted after, and they bounce out of his glove. But for the most part, he has caught everything he has caught up to.
He was still talking this morning before the game about the ball he almost caught, the home run by Francoeur. This one to left, going back, Nix, reaching up, and he'll snare it. 1, 2, 3 for Owings. Ground ball, 2 fly balls. Thanks to Taveras. Nobody on base. Owings up second.
They should be 7-10 according to the theorem. They are 1 game over 500. And the St. Louis Cardinals, who are tops in the division, have scored a lot of runs, 37 more runs than they have given up. That's one reason why they are atop the Central Division right now.
I think if you had talked to Dusty Baker, and for that matter, you talk to anybody around the team, when you look at the way the Reds have played and their lack of offense through the first couple of weeks, you are surprised that they're where they are, around 500.
You know, they've tinkered with that mathematical formula a lot of different times, George, and one of the variables that you have to factor in is your bullpen, because a bullpen can make a team that doesn't score a lot of runs a lot better just by holding that lead towards the end of the year. And I think that's one reason why the Reds are where they are right now, is because of how stout they are at the very back of their bullpen.
And you and I both have talked to Bobby Cox, and I think Bobby echoed that even after day one. He said it of the series, but he said that what he likes the best about this team is the bullpen, the back end of the bullpen, the veteran nature of a Weathers, a Rhodes, and a Cordero, that when crunch time comes, you've got a pretty good opportunity to nail down those wins that you can take
the shorter you can make a game when you're in the lead, the better.
There's that bullpen. Rhodes, Burton, Cordero and company. Nick Massett. Here's Paul Janisch. Pops it foul, no balls, 2 strikes. Janisch came out of Rice University in Houston, a Wayne Graham product, and he always knew he could pick it. And little by little, he's gotten better and better offensively. When he was sent down last year, Dusty Baker, Brooke Jacoby sat with him saying, work on the offense, get stronger. And he came to spring training and showed more improvement than maybe anybody else on this roster offensively. And he's got the opportunity to stick up here. And you see the difference in him offensively, huh?
Well, he's a little stronger. There's no question about that. I think he's more confident.
Looped into center. Schaefer there. Last year it was Janisch who you wondered when he'd come up. This year, when you look at the AAA scenario now, Jamie Ramsey keeping us up to date on the minor leagues. How about Adam Rosales? 397 overall. Wes Bankston, the outfielder, at 349. Matt Maloney, a great outing this weekend, and Homer Bailey started off horribly, a little better last time out, Chris.
Well, Adam Rosales had a very good spring, and he nearly made the ball club. He continued that hot hitting right into the regular season for the Louisville Bats, and it may not be long before you get him up here. But then again, George, if you bring up a guy like Adam Rosales and you stick him in, say, third base because Edwin Encarnacion is struggling, I mean, is that perceived as a panic move? I mean, after all, you've signed Edwin for 2 more years, this year and next.
Look out, didn't hit it, but the bat goes a mile down the third base line past the dugout. That's like a Dave Winfield special, and a Brave fan got it as it broke when it hit the cement.
That's called throwing your top hand.
Man. That's Winfield-esque, isn't it? I mean, Edwin's thrown it in that vicinity, but Dave Winfield, when he let it go, it'd go maybe 20 or 30 rows deep behind the dugout. Foul back. 1-2. By the way, Rosales last night was 1 for 4. He extended his hitting streak to 9 straight. Norris Hopper 2 for 5 last night. Todd Frazier continues his hot hitting down at Carolina. 1 for 4. His hit streak to 8 games now and 320 during that period. High in the air into left center. Schaefer's got it. 2 away. Hey, when the Reds get it done with a run batted in this season, that means another $25 from Shakely goes to the Reds Community Fund. Shakely, it's done. Runs hard to come by in this series for Cincinnati. They lost 4-3 on Friday. Vasquez the winner, Volquez the loser. Gonzalez got the save yesterday. 2 in the first, 4 in the second off Bronson Arroyo, and the Braves had a big early start, and they wound up winning 10-2. There's Taveras. Really had the day off yesterday, back in the lineup today. You're talking about Taveras' defense, and he was remarking before the game today that they really thought he had a chance to catch the Jeff Francoeur home run. He said it was hit so hard that it got there quicker than he thought, and that's, says Francoeur's one strong guy. The leaping effort by Taveras at the wall, he just missed it by about 6 inches. Willie bounced back to the pitcher first time up. Two and 1. And Chris, he's still getting to know this outfield too, and the warning track in the wall. Here's his effort.
There was a jet stream yesterday, George, that really took that ball very quickly out to center field.
That goes quickly to first, and the Reds go quickly here in the third. Heading to the fourth. Kochman due up in this scoreless ball game. your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. By JTM, Food, Family, Fun, JTM. And by Jeep. You talk, we listen. It's a new day. Have fun out there in your beep beep Jeep. The USS Welsh, not in the Ohio yet. Pool gets open first. The yacht comes out second, right?
I need my pool man and my yard man to come out. George Grand, you haven't been answering your cell phone when I called you.
We got to head out there, Jess. Unbelievable weather. It is pool weather now. Here's Casey Kochman bounced to first in the first inning. Casey yesterday had a couple of hits and struck out once, on Friday night, which is very surprising. This guy last year, toughest to strike out in the National League. Jeff Keppinger, 1 out of every 20 at bats, was number 1. Benji Molina was number 2. Kochman was number 3. And you talk about it, Chris, shortening your swing with 2 strikes. This guy's made a science out of that. Very seldom do you get him to offer at bad pitches at 2 strikes.
You're right about that, George, but you're learning a whole new league, and there's a lot of things that change from when you come over the American League to the National League, although not quite as much as it used to be. He still has a pretty good idea of the strike zone.
Time for our Aflac trivia question of the day as Jeff Francoeur comes to the plate. In the 1995 National League Championship Series between the Reds and the Braves, who scored the most runs for the Reds? And unfortunately, that was 2.
I don't think it was Reggie Sanders.
No. Reggie's slump started the first week of September. And
the Braves, I think, pitched him tougher in that series than any team I've seen pitch against one hitter, maybe in forever.
In on the hands, right up about letter high. Eddie Perez got the home run early, and that started the Braves towards the postseason. Bobby Cox and his club advancing. '95, Braves won 90 games, finished first in the East. Went on to play the Indians in the World Series. Now you talk about Bobby talking about the Reds bullpen. That's the one thing that he probably lacked during the entirety of that 14 straight postseason run. This hit pretty good by Francoeur to center field. Back to Veras at the warning track. He'll have room. With the wind blowing on Friday night, that probably would have been out. Today it's a fly ball to the track.
It sounded really good when they hit the bat. I think he still maybe got it out on the end of just a little bit, but the ball evidently not carrying like it did yesterday, but the wind seems to be blowing about the same. Willie Taveras, good jump, gets back there. He plays a very shallow field here, and you can here because there's anything that really goes over your head is probably either going off the wall or over and into the berm in center field.
Sounded pretty good off the bat, didn't it?
It sure did. I wonder if he made a bat order while he's here in Cincinnati, being close to Louisville, of course. Chuck Shoup comes up to take care of all the guys at Louisville Sluggers. He's been through a few in this series. Francoeur has.
Loop into left. That's a base hit for Jones. So he's been on twice. Walked into second. A base hit to left here in the fourth.
Good bit of hitting going with the pitch.
Braves made it to the World Series in '91. Lost to Minnesota. '92 lost to Toronto. '95 they beat the Indians. '96 they lost to the Yankees. And swept by the Yankees in '99. You would have figured with Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, Avery, and the likes of those pitchers, they probably would have won more World Series during that period of time. But the one thing they did lack over that time was a dominant closer that stretched the entirety of that 14-year postseason run. You put Mariano Rivera on that team during that era, they probably got 4 or 5 world championships.
Yeah, you're right, but I mean, you pick the one guy, maybe Trevor Hoffman is the other, that has had such an extended run as a successful closer. It seems like the closers are a 2 and 3 and 4 year opportunity. You hope to get them at the right time.
Just did get the arm back in.
That's one of the things that Michael Owings does very well. He does the little things that pitchers sometimes learn late. He fields his position. He keeps the running game under control. He hits well, obviously.
Runner not going. That's wide. Part of the plate. Base runner stranded here in the 4th. We're still scoreless. Knicks will lead it off. Here's a special look at what will be one of the biggest films of the summer. X-Men Origins Wolverines in theaters May the 1st. Of Hamilton, Ohio will win it. Register for your chance to win during an upcoming game at your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Good luck, Gale. Here's Lance Nix to lead it off as we go to the bottom of 4. Nix bounced out to second first time up. And they're waiting on the banner board in straight away center field. It is bright and then it dims when the inning, in between innings advertisements are over. There it goes. And now it'll dim and they'll be ready to play. It's his second time today that The home plate umpire Jeff Nelson has held up play until they were able to dim it.
Is that Tom Turk out there?
Turk's got the magic
Guy can
wand.
fix anything.
When the mechanics fail, Turk will get it done. Give him some duct tape, and he'll find a way to get it done.
Duct tape and baling wire.
Turk to the rescue. Now that's what you need at the Ponderosa, Chris.
Yeah, a pair of wire cutters.
No, Turk.
You better believe it. Hey,
he gets you whipped into shape over there.
He's been with the Reds forever. He was over at the old stadium, Riverfront, and then Synergy Field. And if it's broken, he'll fix it.
Or if it's fixed, he'll break it.
And then refix it.
And then refix it. One of the best. The Turker. That's a shot, but foul pass. Billy Hatcher is over in the first base coach's box for the Reds. And down at third as usual, Mark Berry. Day game on the weekend. You got to figure Bear's probably going to be grabbing his fishing reel before the night's over and head out someplace to do some fishing, huh? Reds families having a chance to spend some time with their men on this weekend with 2 day games. And they don't leave tonight after the game as the Astros come into town tomorrow. No balls, 2 strikes to Lance. Opportunity today for Knicks, huh?
Well, you know, Dusty Baker's trying to get some of these extra guys some at-bats from time to time. Paul Giannis gets a start today. Lance Nix gets a start. I mean, they realize right now with the way that bench is made up, you have to get these guys some looks. You just can't send them up there, you know, once every 2 or 3 days against the other team's closer and expect them to do well. And Nix had a very good spring. He showed a lot to the Reds while he was down in Sarasota.
0-2. Up and in, Votto on deck, Phillips to follow.
Looks like an entirely different hitter against a right-hander than he does against left-hander. Very confident and ready to spray the ball.
Braves made a run at a bunch of free agents in the offseason. They really targeted Jake Peavy early on. So did the Cubs. Never were able to get Peavy. Neither were the Cubs, for that matter.
Not
Jake's
yet.
still in San Diego, but you figure by the time July comes around, that may change. So they got this veteran right-hander from the Japanese League, 33 years of age. They get Tim Hudson back later this year after his surgery in the offseason, and still fingers crossed on the fact that Tom Glavine might be healthy enough after elbow and shoulder surgery. Less likely that they will get him back, but if they do, that'll be a big boost. On the inside corner, that's a call, strike 3. Strikeout number 1 for Kawakami. Time for our Aflac trivia answer. What I remember most about '95, what a great year Barry Larkin had. He was the MVP. Showed everyone not just what a great player he was, what a great leader he was of the Reds. He had a great postseason, but I don't think he is the answer to the question. It is Brano, Jeff Branson. Now a manager in the Pirates organization. Another one of those guys, Chris, we talked about. There's a shot. It's a fair ball. Votto go around first, heading to second. This one will rattle around in the corner. They'll hold him at second. They'll have a stand-up double. A bullet past Kochman that curved around in foul territory gave Joey a chance to cruise into second.
Yeah, the guy's absolutely amazing. I mean, he hits the ball so hard, so often. Yeah, you can be ready for it down the line. That ball is just scalded inside the bag, down the line. It kind of takes a circuitous route as it bounces off the corner, and he'll end up with an easy double.
Two-bagger number 8 for the Reds' first baseman. He's in scoring position. Here comes Brandon. Phillips bounced one in front of the plate, tossed out by Ross in the first inning. That'll kick away. Votto will easily go to third.
Now, sometimes you get a pitch inside, a little slider, left-hander, and you end up pulling it foul. But Joey Votto is able to drop his hands, and the angle of the bat shows you that he's just going to be able to keep that ball fair right down the first base line. I mean, he just explodes through the hitting zone. And that would be a lot easier to get him home from 90 feet away. Now with that wild pitch gets him to third base. All Brandon Phillips needs is to get a ball into the outfield.
First and third in at the corners. Middle of the infield halfway. From the stretch, Kawakami to Phillips. A one hopper. This won't get it done.
Came right in there and jammed him. You know, we made a little bit of a conversation about Brandon Phillips and Jeff Francoeur and their propensity to swing at the first pitch. Last year, Brandon Phillips on the first pitch, and this is not the first pitch of the at-bat, hit .352, which was his best batting average of any count last year. That's one reason why he still likes to get up there hacking. That was a very good pitch right there by Kawakami that came right in on his hands.
So second out of the inning, and now they'll drop the infield back. Runner still at third. Here's Bruce, who walked in the second inning. The Reds are no different than any other team in the National League. The Braves, over the years, have had some of the best scouting, both in terms of individuals. Bobby Wine is their advanced scout, but also in terms of the way they use numbers and use hitting charts. This one hit pretty good to left. Does he have enough? Curving towards the pole. It's going back. It's going to be gone. Number 4 for the Jaybird. That guy's got a souvenir, and the Reds have a lead.
Just trying to keep that ball fair is the important thing. That ball, a runaway fastball, up and away, and he just kind of follows it on up in the zone and swats at it. And if that baby stays fair, just enough to get out of here right down the left field line. And for an inning that looked like it was going to peter out, the Reds are ended up picking up a couple.
Good job for JB. Bruce gets home run number 4. It was a rebound shot, but the gentleman in the first row wound up with a souvenir. Johnny Tomer, our cameraman down there, had a fishing net. He probably could have had a souvenir of his own. Always bring your glove, Tomer. And you could have used the Brandon Phillips giveaway Gold Glove today. Easy swing on the pitch away, and Bruce gets homer number 4. Here's Edwin. Dribbled one in front of the plate. First time up. Temperature's heating up. That guy's bat is heating up, as well as the guy next to him, Alex Gonzalez, who's had a good 4 days with the lumber. Dusty giving Gonzalez a day off today, even though he's been swinging well, just trying to balance it at least once a week, trying to give him some time off. Fine line. And in fact, I mean, Dusty said it, Chris. Dusty had a knee injury one year and argued with Tommy Lasorda all during spring training that I want to play every day. And Lasorda said, no, we're going to rest you once in a while because I want you fresh later. And he's doing pretty much the same thing with Alex.
I think you have to, George. When you miss an entire season with the kind of injury that he had, which was essentially a fracture of the knee, got to give him some rest. But it also gives the other guys on the team a chance to come in and contribute because it is a 25-man roster.
Full count, 3-2 to Edwin. Check swing, stay alive swing, and it's still 3-2. High in the air to right center. Who's going to take charge? Schaefer will. Let the Reds do some damage. Double by Votto. And the dynamic duo contributes. A Votto double, a Bruce homer, 2-0 Reds. Off as we go to the top of 5. Kawakami to follow in the 9th spot, then Kelly Johnson. Off what we've seen, Chris, you think this Braves team can hang with Philadelphia and Florida and the Mets?
Well, we've only seen the Mets. We haven't seen Florida and Philadelphia yet. Obviously, Philadelphia's stacked again, but you know, if, and there's a couple of ifs right there, Garrett Anderson is able to give them enough playing time, he improves their team and their lineup tremendously. I think if you can also get back Tim Hudson in the middle of the year, that'd be a big boost. I think so. I never count Bobby Cox out. You know, a lot of people in the baseball world were stunned that they had 90 losses last year. But you know, I can never count Bobby Cox out, nor can it's like counting out Tony La Russa. No matter what you hand him as far as a roster, he seems to make his team competitive.
Well, you handicap horses as we go to the 135th running of the Kentucky Derby coming up next week. In baseball, you handicap managers. You start a year and you say, okay, Cox and La Russa at the start of everything, they're already got a couple of votes for manager of the year before you ever start, just by the way they handle their organizations.
I think the other thing, George, is obviously they need Chipper Jones, and they need Chipper Jones healthy all year long. And at his age, you know, you get into the upper 30s, that becomes an iffy question, whether you can get enough playing time out of Chipper to have him produce the raw numbers necessary for this ball club to win.
Critical for him to stay healthy beyond the field, both from a numbers perspective and his leadership, too. Full count to David Ross. That's ball 4. And by the way, while we talk about history and tradition, we want to send our best wishes out to an institution, the Reds, of course, the oldest franchise in the history of baseball. And anybody that's ever lived in Cincinnati knows Bankards, the luggage and leather store downtown, and they've been in business since 1868. They're closing their doors this week, and I don't know anybody that hasn't bought a briefcase or luggage or wallet or something down there. Our best of luck to Edwin White, Patty White, Michael, Mike Stedman, Gene Haas, all people who have been so wonderful. It's talk about a great institution. Just great to walk through. They're great Reds fans too. Great walk and talk about baseball and about the city. I wish them the best.
With that plug, you'll never have to buy another one.
They're going to be closed. That make a difference.
And you know what?
Great
George
people.
had been there forever.
Yep.
I mean, what was the date they opened their doors?
1868.
Wow.
Best of luck. Wonderful people who served Cincinnati well. That big bag that Jesse has where he sticks all the giveaways in it. Bankers. Kawakami trying to bunt his way on. He'll foul it off. He looked pretty comfortable swinging the bat, but he sure didn't look comfortable bunting, did he?
Well, you know, Micah Owings has a tendency to drop his arm down a little bit and freeze those right-handers, and I'm almost certain they use a designated hitter in the Central League in Japan, and he's like an American League pitcher getting out there for the first couple of at-bats. Kind of way back in the batter's box, too. That doesn't help you trying to get that bunt down at all. He does not speak much English. Kawakami doesn't. So the Braves, for the first time ever, have an interpreter in the dugout, on the team plane, in the dugout, everywhere. They go everywhere except on the field.
In fact, it's the first Japanese-born player the Braves have ever had. Down the left field line into the seats, out of play for Kelly Johnson.
And Bobby Cox was telling me before the game how interesting and fun it is having Kawakami on the team and having an interpreter there. And it kind of breaks up, so it makes it a very loose clubhouse, and he's enjoying the experience very much.
Yes, he's old style, but he's open to the new too. What a great communicator. Now you talk about the strengths of managers. That's Bobby. These two managers, Dusty Baker and Bobby Cox, out of the same mold. It's not about X's and O's as much as it is about how do you manage people? How do you communicate? And anybody that's ever played for the Braves always comes away saying, if you can't play for Bobby Cox, you can't play for anybody. He gets to know his players, knows their strengths and weaknesses, and tries to put them in a position to succeed. And that's the strength of Dusty Baker too. How you manage people. Full count, 3-2. Ross down at first with Johnson at the plate. 3-2. See if they run him. Unlikely. He's going, and it's hit high in the air to right. Ross slams on the brakes by a second, and he'll head back to first. Bruce thought he might have had a chance, but Ross located the ball, so he'll lob it into second, 2 away.
Hey, Reds fans, for a great tasting meal and an unbeatable value, pick up delicious JTM Philly kits, burgers, or delicious hoagies at your favorite grocer. JTM, food, family, fun.
Seems like the last 3 or 4 years, everybody's been wondering how long will Bobby Cox continue to manage. And in talking to him, Chris, he's having as much fun with this younger group than he's ever had. But you still wonder when he does decide to pack it in, whether it's next year, the year after, whatever, who the next manager will be. I think a lot of people thought it would be Terry Pendleton. He's a candidate. I think a guy who you always have to consider, especially in light of the predominance of Spanish-speaking players today, Eddie Perez, the former catcher, who's now in the bullpen. You would expect them to keep it in-house, wouldn't you?
You know, I really don't have a feel for that. I had not even thought about Bobby Cox and what would happen after him, because he's been there so long. I'm assuming that he'll be there forever.
It'll be strange when he's not in his office and on the Atlanta bench, that's for sure. Here's Escobar, bounce to short, line to center. Little high, 3-1. That'll be back in the seats and out of play. We'll go full 3-2 with 2 outs. Ross from first will be running. Michael Owings, this is a start against the team he grew up admiring. Grew up in Cumming, Georgia. Graduated from Gainesville High School and followed the Braves hitters and pitchers throughout his youth. Ron Gant, his favorite hitter, and you know, Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, Avery, his favorite pitchers. He was a high schooler when the Reds played the Braves in the playoffs of '95. Braves blanking the Reds 4 games straight to go to the World Series. 3-2. There goes Ross. Got him. 2 strikeouts in the inning. 5 for the afternoon for number 33. He'll be up third when we return. Reds lead it on the Bruce homer 2-0. Reds.com now. 7, 8, and 9 for the Reds as we head to the bottom of 5. Ramon Hernandez bounced out. Paul Yanish flied out. And the same for Michael Owings. The season, Ramon has 1 home run. Boy, was it a big one. That was that shot in the 9th inning that gave the Reds a 2-1 win over the Houston Astros. That's a solid base hit to right. Good to see him going the other way.
Well, that's where that home run was, right down the right field line against the Astros. That was in a ball game, I believe, George, an Oswalt-Johnny Cueto face-off, and he goes the other way quite naturally. That's one reason why Dusty Baker put the hit and run on his first time up when he had Edwin Encarnacion at first base.
By the way, speaking of Oswalt and Cueto, they will go back at each other tomorrow. Reds live at 6:30. The game will follow. Cueto goes for his second win. Oswalt still winless, 0-2, an ERA of 4.6. Look out! Did that get him on the arm again? He got hit on the elbow in Houston, and it looked like this one might have got him on the wrist or the hand.
Well, it was kind of an interesting situation because you got the number 8 hitter. Normally, you don't bunt the 8 hitter to let the 9 hitter, the pitcher, bat. That ball did not get him on the hand. It got him on the right shoulder. It missed the bat completely. Well, actually, you can make an argument if you wanted to be the Braves and say he bunted at that ball. I mean, right there, he's bunting. Now he takes it back, but that's after the ball's already past the bat. But that ball will hit him on the shoulder. He'll go to first base, and now Micah Owings with first and second. The question for Dusty Baker, do you let this guy swing the bat, or do you bunt him?
Dusty flashing his signs to Mark Berry as he walks back to the dugout after checking out Giannis. Giannis left right elbow, which was hit the other day, just now starting to feel good again, and now he's got the right shoulder. Importantly for the Reds, 2 on, nobody out. Decision for Dusty. We'll see what Michael Owings is doing. He flied out first time up. He shows bunt. Pulls the bat back, hit hard, down past the glove of Escobar. They're saying it hit the runner at second. Escobar holds his glove in the air and grabs the baseball. He's arguing that the runner was hit. Bobby Cox is going to come out and argue.
Well, they're going to get a big argument because immediately that ball went by or hit Ramon Hernandez, he stopped and just started walking to third base, acknowledging by his body language he got hit. The umpires are going to convene and see if they can't get it called the right way.
They were all screened from it. Let's see what we got. They're calling him out that it hit the runner.
And I think that's the right call. Here's Hernandez at second base. Right here is where we're looking. And it hit him. Escobar couldn't get the deflection right there. And right after that, if you watch Hernandez, as we'll continue the tape right along towards third base, it hits him. And then he'll just realize that he'll kind of just walk on in there because, well, I'm out. I realize that I got hit by that batted ball.
It's like it hits the left heel as he tries to go towards third. So the batter will be called out.
You know, had Hernandez not stopped and not walked into third base, he may have been able to get away with it. I think the umpires reacted more to his reaction than they actually saw the ball hit his foot.
Now the runner hit by a pitch called out. Hernandez will be out. The runners will be at first and second, and Dusty arguing that you had the best view, you were the closest to it. But you can see there the ball changes directions just as he tries to move the foot.
You know, as it turns out, this is the best thing for the Reds because that was an easy double play ball.
Sure. Tim Teixeira, the crew chief, talked to Cox, talked to Baker, one of the more respected crew chiefs in baseball, came in 1987. A 20-year-old veteran of Major League Baseball. And here's Taveras at the top of the order trying to get things going for the Reds. So it will go as a base hit for the pitcher. Owings gets credited with a base hit. When the runner gets hit, the runner is out, but the batter gets credited with a base hit. And the Reds have still first and second, but with 1 out now. Better speed than Hernandez now out at second. Owings down at first. Fouled off 1-2. Try to pick off the runner, but Giannis back. I mean, having said all of that, Chris, watching Escobar at short, he was more interested in arguing with the umpire than the play itself. If it had ruled against him, it's the old story: play the play through, then argue after the play is over.
I think it was so obvious to him, George, that he was right on that ground ball. All of a sudden, it got deflected past his glove. You just react, kind of the way that Jerry Hairston did yesterday when he got called out on a pitch and he didn't think it was a strike. You just react without thinking.
2-2. Dribble down to short. Escobar will go to first. The throw not in time. Legged out by Taveras. The bases are loaded. Infield hit for the speedy Willie Taveras, and they're loaded now for Lance Nix with one out.
Well, the Reds are trying to make something out of nothing here in this inning. This ball hit perfect spot. Escobar's got a gun, and he throws it on the run, but Willie Taveras outruns it.
Anytime he puts the ball in play on the ground, it's a chance for that. So they're loaded. Here comes Nix. A single, a hit batter, runner's interference, and an infield hit, and the Reds have him loaded with one out. Nix, a ground out and a strikeout looking. No grand slams, but a pretty hefty average with the bases loaded for Lance. Play him straight away, fairly deep in center and left. Short is Francoeur in right. Francoeur, one of the best arms in baseball. So a base hit to right. Not a given that the Reds will get 2 runs out of it, and probably only one. Upper deck, left side, and it's a ball and a strike. Votto on deck for the Reds. Cincinnati hoping Nix can keep the line moving and give Joey a chance to play add-on. Spoils a pretty good pitch, 1-2. Field. Here comes Francoeur. He's got it in the air. The throw coming all the way to the plate. It's a good thing they didn't send him. Talk about an arm, Chris. You're not going to find one better than that.
Boy, I don't think you can hit one harder than that either if you're Lance Nix. Got it right on the button. A sinking, hooking line drive that Francoeur was able to negotiate on the run and come up throwing. And you're right about his arm. It is special.
Even that deep, normally someone's going to score from third. Mark Berry did the right thing, knowing the guy who's out in right. So now there's 2 outs. Here comes Joey. Nix hit it right on the button, but Francoeur hauls it in. So they're still loaded, but now 2 outs. Votto on base twice, hit by a pitch in the first. He doubled with 1 out in the fourth. Scored on the homer by Bruce. And again, Francoeur, even with the left-handed Votto up, a couple of steps in and right.
Looking for his first slam, huh?
The 2 outs, runners in scoring position, over 400 for the Reds this year. There's that number. But blocked by Ross, saved a run. Ball and a strike. They're underway in St. Louis. Cubs lead the Cardinals 3-0 in the second. Washington leads the Mets 5-1 in the fifth. Philadelphia over Florida 8-1 in the seventh. Then Milwaukee leads Houston 1-0 in the second. And National League play underway right now. Ripped into right. That'll get at least 2, maybe 3 home. Giannis scores. Rounding third is Taveras. He'll come in. 3-run score on the second double of the day from Joey Votto. Is he something else or what?
Well, have a day, Joey Votto. Have a month. A breaking ball that Kawakami hangs up there, and he rips it over the head of the first baseman down the right field line. Hits so sharply that Frank Cora has to chase it into the corner. And with Willie Taveras on first base, he's the trailing runner. He'll come around to score easily. So Votto empties the bases. And the most emotion that he shows, he pulls into second base and gives himself like one little clap. And that's it. Man, that guy can flat out rake.
There's about 30,000 clappers around this ballpark right now for him. 5-0 Cincinnati. 2 for 2, 2 doubles. 3 more runs batted in, now 19 on the season for Joey. Pujols, who had a grand slam yesterday in the Cardinal win over Chicago, leads the league with 25 coming into today. How about Albert, too? Here's Brandon. 2 ground balls, 1 dribbled in front of the plate, the other weak 1 hopper to second, 0 for 2. Bruce, who's already homered, is on deck. Pretty good to right. Did he get enough? Going back. Frank Cora looking up. It's going to be off the wall. Here comes Votto. He scores. Phillips will have to hold it first as Frank Cora throws a rocket into second.
I'll tell you what, the Reds got to be happy that Brandon Phillips hit that ball over the head of Frank Cora in right field. But why is Brandon Phillips, with his speed, standing on first base? He's eyeballing that ball and adoring it as if it's a home run. That ball didn't even hit the wall on a fly. It short hopped the wall. I can't figure that Dusty's very happy about that.
Let's watch and see what Phillips does. Here he is trotting out. He thinks it's gone. Now he realizes it isn't. Too late. And he'll have to hold at first. Frank Cora picked it off the wall on 1 hop and again threw a strike to second. But if he's running hard out of the box, Chris, he'll be at second.
I mean, absolutely. He's a doubles hitter anyway. I don't want to pick the negative out of something positive because the Reds have scored 6 runs here in the last 2 innings. But you want everybody hustling hard all the time.
So Brandon gets a run batted in, his 6th of the season. He chases home Votto, and the Reds now lead at 6-0. Roger McDowell, the Cincinnati native, out to talk to Kawakami. While Kawakami does not understand a lot of English, they've gotten key words that they'll use when he has to go to the mound and talk to him. Here's Jay. Bruce walked in the second. Hit his 4th homer of the year in the 4th. That gave the Reds a 2-0 lead. Former Cincinnati Red Buddy Carlisle loosening in the bullpen for Atlanta. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Setting up inside on Bruce on the 1-2 count. This time he goes away. Hit pretty good. Guess what? He's got 2 today, and he continues his torrid hitting against the Braves. He's 2 for 2. Coming into the series, he's hitting .550 against Atlanta. He opened up his career against the Braves last year, and he's continuing red hot against Atlanta. 2 homers, 2 more runs score, 8-0 Cincinnati.
Well, he got a whole bunch of this one, did Jay Bruce. That pitch about middle height, outer third of the plate, and he just lets that bat head do the talking.
Say goodbye to the baseball and say sayonara to the pitcher, Kinshin Kawakami. Bobby Cox on his way out. That'll be it for Kawakami. Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Certain, but I guarantee you this one felt a whole lot better, at least as far as being a pure hitter. Got it right on the screws, lined it on out of here. 6 runs in the inning, 8 runs in the last 2 innings. That's a major outburst for this offense.
First 2-homer game for Jay since last July against Pittsburgh, the 2nd of July. 3rd career 2-home run game. And 4 runs batted in on the day for the Reds right fielder. 8-0 Cincinnati. Here's Edwin facing Buddy Carlisle. Carlisle, a draftee of the Reds back in 1996, traded to San Diego in '98.
For Mark Kroon.
Yep.
Remember the Mark Kroon?
We remember that. The hard-throwing right-hander. Well, 9 come to the plate in the 5th. Kawakami, 4 2/3, 8 hit, 8 runs, and the big shots from Bruce, Votto, and a double by Phillips, and the end result, Reds lead at 8-0.
game here on Fox Sports Ohio. Join me and Jim Day and Brian Giesensaw and a host of others for Reds Live. We'll take you inside the club out. We'll hear from Dusty and more. That's after each game right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Hey, great news, George and Chris. Kevin Huber, the kid from McNick, who was the only two-time All-American in the history of the University of Cincinnati football program, he was selected by his hometown Cincinnati Bengals. So Kevin Huber will be playing at home in his NFL career. Congratulations. He's got a great family from over on the east side, a McNick grad, and just a great kid.
Two-time All-American. Good news on the local product side, huh, Vic?
Boy, it's going to be very neat. And, you know, I think Chris might actually know his family. His wife, his mom actually works with my wife, Cindy, over at Freaking and Betts downtown, the big law firm. And they're having a big party tonight over at downtown at one of the watering holes that their parents are having. And I'm sure it's going to be a fun occasion tonight.
In a good couple of days for the local products.
Yes, sir.
Eric Wood out of Elder and Louisville. Bills on the 28th pick yesterday. Connor Barwin, Texans, and Michael Mitchell out of Ohio U and Highlands, the Raiders yesterday. And some more today probably before the day's over. There's a pop-up to the left side. Edwin, he got it! Edwin Encarnacion, a sliding catch.
What a dandy play for Edwin Encarnacion, trying to negotiate that fence that protects the dugout. He goes into a slide right here, watches the dugout screen, eyes on this ball, the screen, the ball, and comes in with a sliding catch. Nice one.
And pops up to hold Chipper Jones, who singled to right over at first. So one out, one on, and here comes Frank Coeur. Pop to second and fly to center. Pretty good series for these two young right fielders, two guys who have grown to respect each other already. Jeff Francoeur and Jay Bruce. Bouncer down to second, backing up Giannis. Yes, no, not in time at first. Got the one at second. Francoeur speedy down the line, just beats it at first.
Yeah, I don't know if Joey Votto had the throw pull his foot off or whether he was trying to cheat the tag a little bit. But looks like he pulled his foot, and that's why he ended up being safe and no double play. Throw got him off there.
So Francoeur is on with two away, and here comes the left fielder Brandon Jones. Eight runs, 8 hits for Cincinnati, only 3 hits for the Braves. That's a bloop. Encarnacion cuts in front of Giannis and hauls it in. So far, so good. We'll get Chris's evaluation of Micah Owens when we return. Reds lead at 8-0. Coors Light 6th inning. Now it's time for the Coors Light Freeze Cam. You know he can pull, Chris, but when he goes this way, that's something special.
Well, you know, you get a high pitch like that, George. I'll never forget Kevin Mitchell, a great Reds hitter, once said, never try to pull a high pitch. Well, Jay Bruce buys into that, goes the other way, and almost foul, but right inside the foul ball for a 2-run home run right there. And, of course, he hit a monster shot into the right field sun deck later, but nice going, Jay Bruce.
Coors Light Freeze Cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Here's Ramon. He started it all last inning with a base hit to right. Jay Bruce, who came in 11 for 20 and a .550 average against the Braves in his career. 2 homers today, so he's got 4 home runs in his career against Atlanta. Going 1 for 2, the base hit to right, grounded to second his first time up. Giannis on deck, and Owings to follow. Buddy Carlisle got the final out of the 5th, working here in the 6th. That's a swing and a miss, 1 and 2. Carlisle, born in Omaha, Nebraska, drafted by the Reds and came through the Reds minor league system in 96, 97, and 98, and then was traded in the Mark Kroon deal. There's a bouncer back to Buddy. And this week on Fox Saturday Baseball, division rivals go head-to-head as Grady Sizemore and the Indians head to Detroit to take on Miguel Cabrera and the Tigers, or the Mets battle the Phillies in Philadelphia. Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week at a special time of 3:30 following This Week in Baseball at 3 p.m. on Fox. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. Mark Wagner and Tom Brennan will be on the hunt this week in Detroit. More frequent flyer miles for Daddy Wags. Giannis high in the air, left center. Schaefer has it 2 away. No one, Chris, Daddy Wags, or anybody else has more frequent flyer miles than Roy Alfers down in the truck directing today.
Well, you know, as I told him, George, better start using those bad boys. He wants to hold them like he's like the old king that wanted to count his money every day. He probably logs onto that website just to make sure they've got that running total going.
It's kind of like your 401k. It goes down in value every day, doesn't it?
Well, it's not going down in value because he never uses them. He'll complain about flying, you know, waiting over the day after and have to fly, you know, this or that. But, you know, if I had 45 million miles in my account, I'd probably use a couple now and then.
You could give them to Christian Roberts. Christian could use them.
I'd give them to a couple of my favorite announcers. Let them take some trips.
Or the Welsh family.
Why not?
For the Welsh family reunion. How about Micah today, Chris? He's been something else on the mound and helps himself at the plate. There's a shot to right. Going back, looking up. It is off the bottom of the wall. Owings will have a 2-base hit. He cruises into second. Pretty good day for him so far.
Now, the guy's a doubles machine when he gets to the plate. That's for certain. He does it mostly when he pinch hits, but he does not get cheated. Buddy Carlisle trying to throw a little slider away that just floats right back over the plate. That's a cement mixer coming up there, and Owings nearly leaves the yard right there. Chula in right center field, but he'll end up on second base, having a great day. Working on a 3-hit shutout and a 2-for-3 day at the plate.
2 out, 2 bagger. Here's Taveras, who reached on an infield hit last inning and later scored. He's 1 for 3. Right field, it is foul. Nice catch, Adam Stowe doing it just the way his dad Mark and his uncle Rick taught him to do, and even more importantly the way his granddad taught him to do. Bernie Stowe. Tomorrow's Bernie's birthday. Want to say an early happy birthday to the True Red. Nobody greater in the history of the Reds organization than Bernie Stowe down in the clubhouse. Now Ad's got a couple of stories he can tell. Escobar has it. That'll do it. Double by Owings. Now he goes back to work to the mound. Reds lead at 8-0. Brandon Phillips bangs one off the wall to make it 6-0 in the 5th. And then Jay Bruce completes what was a pretty good inning. The Reds score 6 in the 5th. Bruce 2 home runs on the day. 4 runs batted in, added up, and Michael Owings has an 8-0 lead as we head to the 7th inning in Cincinnati. Both sides of the ball pretty good for the Reds on this day.
Well, he has not needed nearly as many runs as the Reds have afforded him this afternoon, but he'll take it any time, and he's having a great outing. Michael Owings is. And, George, this is probably what you can expect a little more out of Owings. Remember, this is only the second time this year that he's pitched on his normal amount of rest. His first start was delayed because of a rainout, so he didn't get a chance to go through the first rotation. He had to wait 10 days or so before he got a start. So you kind of discount that first one. Last one against the Cubs was a very cold night, very tough to pitch in. Today, he's got to be very happy.
So it's a good crowd at Great American Ballpark after 2 days of offense hard to find. The Reds have erupted on this day, and here we go to the 7th. Jordan Schaefer will lead it off. He's 0 for 2, and so far Owings has had his number. 2 strikeouts, and he's ahead again. No balls and 2 strikes. Schaefer, born in Hammond, Indiana. Now resides down in Florida.
And that's really very close to Chicago, almost a suburb of. He's got the hat trick right now, Schaefer does, and he's getting them on just about the same pitch. The up and in cut fastball that just ties him right up.
3 of the 6 strikeouts for Owings today at the expense of Schaefer. So 1 away, and here comes the catcher David Ross. 2 walks for David on this day. This hit pretty good to left. Going back, looking up, and that will be out of here. David Ross' second home run is returned to Cincinnati. In the lineup 3 straight days due to the eye problems of Brian McCann, and David Ross delivers a big-time shot. His second homer, 5th run batted in.
When you're up by 8, you can give up the solo shots.
unmistakable former Reds catcher who was here in 2006, 7, and 8. Got every bit of this one, so he's been on base 3 times, 2 walks, and his 2nd homer of the year. Being released by the Reds, he's had a pretty good role. Caught on with the Red Sox, spent time with them, and then signed a 2-year deal this offseason here in Atlanta. There's Norton. He'll pinch hit in the pitcher spot here in the 7th. Hit pretty good into the right field corner, but curving foul.
Well, he hit 3 home runs as a pinch hitter last year. That led all the major leagues.
And 11 for his career, so you know he can do it.
And you know he's up there swinging for it.
Got his first hit of the season yesterday. Closing in on 100 pitches. Here's the 1-1. Phillips scoops, flips, 2 away. I guess there really is no more fragile position on a ball club, Chris, than the 5th starter. So every time you go out there, you figure you got to find a way to deliver because your spot is in jeopardy.
Well, a lot of it depends on what they have down in the minor leagues. Is there a guy down there lights out that they're kind of biting at the bit to make an opportunity for, or you know, is the team hoping that you do well in the 5th spot so that they don't have to go to the minor leagues? Right now, there's really nobody down there. I mean, obviously, Homer Bailey's the one guy you want to take a look at, saying based on what he did this spring, but he scuffled so far down in Louisville. Although that earned run average will come down. Mainly, a lot of it came with one or 2 outings, but Michael Owings still, you know, when you're in the 5th starter spot, and I've been there, George, you know, you still feel a certain amount of pressure. Like all eyes are on you every time out. And it's not necessary that you go out and throw a shutout, but it is necessary that you go out and avail yourself to the point where you keep your team in the game. And for the most part, he's done that, and he's done it no better than today. This has been a great outing for him this afternoon.
Now, Chris, the game's a little different than when you played, too, because when you were a 5th starter and a spot starter, when you didn't start, you were long relief in the bullpen, sometimes even set up. There's a bloop. It's a fair ball into the right field corner. Johnson, who singles, heading to 3rd. Here's the throw to 2nd, and they run into an out. Escobar runs into an out when he's down by 7 runs in the 7th inning. Jay Bruce and Jeff Francoeur showcasing 2 outstanding arms in right on this day. The Reds will hold on to an 8-1 lead, and we'll keep it right here at Great American Ballpark as we honor America with God Bless America. forget, you could experience the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum's newest exhibit, Crosley Field Remembered. This special exhibit brings to life the sight, sounds, and feel of this historic Cincinnati ballpark and its unforgettable moments. For more info and tickets, visit Reds.com/Hall of Fame. A couple of pretty good arms in right field today, Chris.
Well, we've seen Jeff Francoeur show off his arm as he threw onto the plate. There's Jay Bruce throwing it like an infielder on the run. You know, Escobar thought he had an easy double, but good aggressive defense by the Reds. Same guy that hit 2 home runs, playing well on both sides of the ball.
And a base running mistake by Escobar. He's down by 7 runs. And gets his pocket pick. Jay Bruce, perfect throw to go along with a couple of home runs and 4 runs batted in on this day. Talking to Brooke Jacoby, the hitting instructor. Here's Lance Nix. Omar Infante comes into the game. He'll be in center field. Infante in center. Francoeur in right. And Jones over in left. Leaping high to haul that one in. Kelly Johnson, and there's one away. Nix is retired. Nix is hit in bad luck today. A line drive out to right and a line drive to center. Here's James Parr, who takes over on the mound. Kinshin Kawakami started 4 2/3. Buddy Carlisle went an inning in the 3rd, and here's Parr. 3rd game for him. There's Joey Votto, hit by a pitch and 2 doubles. A rocket shot, but foul into the right field corner. Over 100 pitches now is Michael Owings, though Jared Burton has started to loosen in the bullpen. 6 good innings from Michael Owings, though, and into the 7th. He gave up a homer and a couple of hits. But you're talking about a good outing for Owings.
No doubt, George. And kind of an outing that he probably felt some personal pressure, although no move is imminent in trying to replace him, at least at this point. But it makes you feel better when you go out and you pitch well and pitch to your capabilities. I don't think he's felt that he has since he's come over here.
Sure did his job on this day. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Votto. Off Parr's glove. Hustling. They'll get him by a step. Time for our Firestone leaderboard update for today. The all-time home run leaders: Barry Bonds, 762. The Henry Aaron Hammer of 755. Babe next at 714. And the Say Hey Kid, how many would he have had if he had not played at Candlestick? Junior now up to 613 in the number 5 spot all time. Well, it will be particularly interesting if Barry Bonds does not play. If Sammy Sosa doesn't come back, and there's been talk about possibly them coming back, and you can't necessarily forget about the possibility. But Chris, when you look at the 2013 Hall of Fame ballot, Bonds is on it, Sosa's on it. There's a dribbler to the right side. Biggio, Clemens, Finley, Franco, Piazza, Schilling, a whole lot more. It'll be an interesting, if not controversial, Hall of Fame ballot. Back with more. Reds lead 8-1. and by your Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers. Day's over for Michael Owings, and what a day it was. 7 innings, 6 hits, only a run on the home runs. 6 strikeouts and 3 walks for Micah. He will exit with an 8-1 lead. Jared Burton will take over as we go to the 8th inning. And your report card on Michael Owings, pretty good.
7 innings of 6-hit, 1-run baseball. A+. Couple of hits at the plate. Give him an A+ there again, George. It's exactly what the Reds needed. The last thing you ever wanted to do when the Braves came to town is to lose 3 in a row after having a great road trip, bringing big crowds into Great American Ballpark, and then be swept by the Braves. So that does not look like it's going to happen, mainly because Michael Owings had a very good day on the hill today.
And what you're seeing right there, before the game today, Mike Owings was sitting in a couch over in the corner as he did in his first start. He's got his own book on hitters and his own book on his performance, and he'll go make his own notes. I mean, everybody will look at the videotape Scotty reports, and here he is making his notes on the bench now that his day is over before he heads in, but he'll embellish on those tonight after the ball game is over and go over it. So that, I mean, the kid isn't just a good athlete, Chris. He's a ball player. And we've seen him hit. We've seen him approach his job in a professional way.
You bet.
Here's Chipper. You know, he can hit. He's 2 for 3 and hit the ball hard 3 times. 2 singles for Jones today. At Busch Stadium, Cubs lead the Cardinals 4-1. They're now in the 4th inning. Washington leads the Mets 8-1 in the 7th. Fly ball left center. Nix on his horse. Warning track. Wall can't get it. Taveras will pick it up, but it'll be a 2-base hit for Chipper. Jones keeps hitting. The guy who led the league in hitting last year has his 3rd hit today, 3 for 4.
You know, he's got such great strength, and he stays behind the ball so well, but that jet stream that's blowing here at Great American Ballpark today helped him get an extra base hit here. That ball was slicing a little bit off his bat, but it got up in that wind, and it really went much farther than Lance Nix thought it would. In fact, it hooked on him, or not hooked, but it sliced on him and got behind him a little bit, but Chipper does what he does best, which is hit 3 of them on the day. You know, they've got a new fence there in center field. That's got some give to it. That's kind of a chain link type fence that protects the new high definition scoreboard where they post all the out of town scores.
It's a softer chain link fence than used to be there. The chain link fence that was there was pretty hard. This one will give a little bit more. But you'll get strange bounces off it. You won't get the hard bounce that you used to get. The ball will usually die when it hits it. So Chipper's 3 for 4. He's sitting on second. Here's Casey Kochman. Kochman 0 for 3. Continues for Michael Owings. Got in on him a little bit. Lazy fly to right center. Bruce there. Chipper's going nowhere. Perfect throw to Yanish from Bruce. And the best sports show period, the greatest nightly sports show on TV, comes your way weeknights, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. The best sports show period, and you can bet they'll be putting the capper on the National Football League draft this week when they get together and pointing towards the Kentucky Derby. Here's Frank Coor 0 for 3, popped up, flied out, bounced into a fielder's choice. Speaking of football ability, this guy had a full ride to Clemson as a football player, and he made it clear from the beginning if he was going to play baseball, it would be with the Braves or he was going to college. And the Braves did draft him.
The Braves over the last couple of years, at least the years in which Frank Core and Brian McCann came up, they were a number of players from that Atlanta area all selected by the Braves, heavily scouting right in their own backyard.
Mike Owings, a product of Georgia too. 1 out, 1 on. Here's the 2-0. And the Braves have had a nucleus of leadership. The likes of a Chipper Jones sitting out at second and a John Smoltz. Of course, certainly Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz all provided leadership from a pitching standpoint. The guy who started to turn it around is the hitting coach for the Braves right now, Terry Pendleton. When Pendleton came over from the Cardinals, he was the kind of a leader that they really didn't have. That started him on a roll of excellence in the National League East. He played the game right, he played the game hard, and he mentored teammates, similar to what Jones is doing now. And now you pass the baton to McCann and Frank Core, just like the Reds are doing to the likes of Bruce and Votto. Fly ball, left center, hit pretty good. Taveras has it measured, though. He's got it on the warning track. Chipper will tag, go from second to third. Here's Brandon Jones. He got the start in left, walked, singled, and lined out a soft liner to the third baseman, Encarnacion. Giannis off balance, and he won't unload it. His foot slipped on the grass. Unlikely he would have gotten Jones anyways. Jones moves pretty good down the line. Wise idea. A run scores. It'll be a hit and a run batted in for Jones. It's a 8-2 ball game. That's one of those plays, Chris, you keep your fingers crossed between an odd position to throw in and a hamstring or groin injury too. But Giannis looks like he's okay.
It's caught most of the attention of this crowd, George, and the reason why it's so quiet in here is because half the bat went flying into the stands behind the Reds dugout, and the sharp end evidently hit one of the fans, and it is morbidly quiet over there right now.
Another one over in the same area. And the beauty of these new ballparks is you're so close to the action, but it's also the danger of these new ballparks.
Well, now, I don't know. Yes, with foul balls, but I have never seen until the last couple of years, 3 years anyway, the number of broken bats that fly into the stands. That's something that I know we talked about before, but that's something that should be continued to be looked at.
Nick's back up against the wall, will haul it in. So the Braves score one in the 8th. It's an 8-2 score as we go to the bottom of 8. Tavares came up with a gem, and Chris, he's played solid center field.
He really has, George. I tell you what, he covers a lot of ground out there. Catches like that would normally have fallen in if your center fielder can't get to him. Saves pitchers' pitches. It saves your bullpen. It saves runs and earned runs. He can be a pitcher's best friend anytime.
There's the best friend of the Reds pitching staff today, Jay Bruce. 2 home runs on the day. A 2-homer afternoon for number 32 for Bruce today. He walked his first time up, hit a 2-run homer with Votto aboard in the 4th, and then another 2-run homer in the 5th to make it 8-0.
Hit that ball very sharply. Cooperated with by Kelly Johnson, who's practicing the fine art of Olay.
Cinco de Mayo is coming. They'll score a base hit. Well, base hit for Bruce. He's 3 for 3, 2 homers and a single. And now let's see. He is 14 for 23 in his career against the Braves. Remember, it was against Atlanta that he came up last May. Had that walk-off home run. Here's Edwin. He'll play behind Bruce at first. Omar Infante enters the game. He's the new third baseman. So Infante's down at third. And plays a chipper. Still on the mound, so the Braves have Infante, Prado into the lineup now. Kochman still at first, Johnson at second, Escobar at short, Francoeur and Jones at the corner outfield spots. Drops in there for a strike. Don't forget, the homestand continues tomorrow. Johnny Cueto against Roy Oswalt, a rematch of last week's brilliant performance by Johnny. Hit hard and through. That's a base hit for Hernandez. Ramon's 2 for 4. On Tuesday, it'll be Aaron Harang against Wandy Rodriguez. The Reds shackled by Rodriguez in Houston last week. Then on Wednesday, Edinson Volquez is due to pitch against a TBA, as yet unknown by the Astros. Off day on Thursday, then the Reds travel to Pittsburgh.
They've updated that, George. That will be Felipe Paulino. Same right-handed flamethrower that shut the Reds down last time he faced them.
Talk about why is Bobby Cox as good as he is. Here's Giannis, 0 for 2 and hit by a pitch. When we saw him on Friday, not the first question, but one of the first 3 or 4 questions was, that Paulino pitched pretty good against you, didn't he? And we echoed that, right, Chris?
Of course, he saw the Astros several times in spring training.
Yep.
With the Braves training in Orlando and the Astros training nearby in Kissimmee. I'm sure that he got his fair share of Felipe Paulino. Hit 99 miles an hour several times that evening.
Broken bat down to third. They'll get one at second, too late to first. So Bruce will go to third. And by the way, don't forget, show your mom how special she is by bringing her to Great American Ballpark Sunday, May the 10th for Mom's Appreciation Day. First 10,000 moms in attendance receive a free tote bag thanks to Cons. Get your Mom's Day tickets now. 381-REDS or to Reds.com. With Burton due up, Chris Dickerson will hit here in the bottom of the 8th. Burton 1 inning, 2 hits, 1 run, an earned run. Danny Herrera loosening in the bullpen for Cincinnati. Owings did his job, 7 innings, 6 hits, a run. Burton an inning, 2 hits and a run. The Reds holding on to an 8-2 lead here in the 8th. There's Dickerson, a homer 5 knocked in as he takes his average, the dip below the 200 mark to 195 after a rough day yesterday. 0 for 5, including 4 strikeouts. And in the game of baseball, Chris, it's not so much the offers, but it's how you come back the next day.
You're exactly right about that. And the whole idea is don't put pressure on yourself. You know, it seemed like, George, when I played, the guys that I played with, those that were the best players had the shortest memories. The shortest memories when it came to having bad days. They'd roll over the next day, come out of bed and say, hey, what happened yesterday? I have no idea, but I'm going to get 3 hits today.
Dickerson retired here in the 8th. Last roundup time for the Braves. Reds lead it 8 runs, 11 hits, no errors to 2-8-0 for Atlanta. In the 5th inning, a bases loaded double that plated 3. And Jay Bruce, 2 homers and a single, 4 runs batted in. The 2 biggest stars for the Reds will turn it over to the smallest reliever for Cincinnati, but a guy who's pitched with a big heart, Danny Herrera.
Well, Danny Herrera earned his way onto this ball club with a superb spring training, and he's not disappointed since he has been up here in the big leagues this year. Had a cup of coffee with the Reds last year. He's been in 9 games now, including today. And with his dad and grandfather in town, Dusty's going to run him back out there one more time in the series.
Here's David Ross. Slice to right field. Bruce is there. Sky high fly ball glove for the first out. What a day for Bruce. The 2 home runs. That's a good enough day, but If the Braves had any chance of getting back into it, Yunel Escobar, a base running mistake, tried to stretch a single into double, down by 7, and Bruce gunned him down at second. There's Matt Diaz, who will pinch hit in the 9th spot. For the Braves, Kinshin Kawakami started 4 2/3, 8 hits, 8 runs, a strikeout and a walk for the Japanese transplant. Diaz in at 209, couple of homers, 8 knocked in. One for 9 in the series. He started the previous 2 games. 0-2. Encarnacion scoops, flips, and pulls Votto off the bag. It'll go as a base hit. Don't forget, you can become a fan of Fox Sports Ohio on Facebook. www.facebook.com, keyword Fox Sports Ohio. Put you on Facebook, get you twittering all over the place, Welsh.
George, you're already on there and you've been twittered, I have to tell you.
No, thank you.
As soon as Ronnie figures out who I am, I'll probably be twittered too.
Here's Kelly. Johnson 1 for 4, singled his last time up. Great to have you with us here at Great American Ballpark, as the Reds finally found some offense after a great homestand and 2 days of difficult offense that put an 8th spot on the board today. That Scroogey will go away from right-handers and dip and dart against the left-hander, and there's a strikeout.
Well, he's got a myriad of breaking balls, Danny Herrera does. That's the curveball type, and he gets Kelly Johnson.
Two away. Here's Escobar. Grounded out, lined out, struck out, singled, and then thrown out, trying to stretch it into 2. Another good crowd, 29,327 at Great American Ballpark. Previous 2 days over 30,000, and they're looking for the Reds to close it out here in the 9th. Bruce and Votto, the offensive stars. That guy was great on the mound. 7 innings, 6 hits, only 1 run, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks from Michael Owings. 2-2.
Well, he got his fastball right there on low and outside corner. Yunel Escobar, get ready for the Scroogey.
The Reds fans will carry you home, and we'll go full 3-2. That'll sneak its way into the outfield. A base hit for Escobar. The runner holds at second, so 2 out, 2 on. And here comes Prado up for the first time. in the 5th at St. Louis, Cubs lead the Cardinals 6-2. Washington leads the Mets 8-1 in the 8th. Houston leading Milwaukee 3-2 in the 5th. And Colorado and LA just underway, scoreless in the 3rd. Applause from the 29,000 plus for Joey Votto, Danny Herrera, Jay Bruce, and the Reds. They finally found some offense on this sunny Sunday in Cincinnati, and the Reds win at 8-2. That's the way to end the series, Chris.
I'll tell you what, you're exactly right about that. Last thing you wanted was a